The sky over New York turned red just before the attack. No one knew why. No warnings, no news, just a strange light, like a sunrise gone wrong. People stared up, confused and afraid. Children pointed, phones recorded, then the air cracked. A beam of white energy shot down from the clouds. It hit the center of Times Square. In seconds, the city shook, cars flipped. Buildings melted like wax. Screams filled the streets. Another beam followed, then another. Within minutes, half the city was fire and rubble. Ray Carter opened his eyes to smoke and silence. His ears rang. His arms were bleeding. He sat up slowly, surrounded by fire, but the world was gone. He looked around, eyes burning, lungs choking on ash. "Emily," he shouted. No answer, David. Silence. He crawled through the debris. Flames licked the air around him. A child's toy lay next to a burned hand. A phone buzzed in someone's pocket, screen cracked. Carter finally found what he feared to Bodie's near the subway entrance. His wife's necklace still hung around her neck. His son's small shoe was lying nearby. He dropped to his knees. For a long time, he didn't move. He didn't cry. He just stared. When soldiers from Earth's emergency force arrived, they found him standing with a piece of twisted steel in one hand and his family's photo in the other. They asked if he was okay. He didn't answer. Later, doctors checked. The government sent people to talk. He said little. Just one sentence again and again, "They'll remember Earth." The attack came from a species called the Zorians, cold-blooded conquerors from deep space. No message, no reason. They appeared above Earth, destroyed 6 cities in under an hour, and vanished. No demands, no follow-up, just death. Earth's leaders were paralyzed. They had no defense for something like this. No weapons that could reach space. No way to fight. Back, most of Earth's armies had never left the planet, but Carter had. Before his quiet life, he was a Black Ops commander. He led missions no one talked about. Ghost missions, deep space intel, alien contact protocols. He knew how aliens fought. He knew how they thought. And now, he knew what he had to do. He disappeared from the hospital 2 days later. Security cameras showed him walking out in a hoodie, head down. No one stopped him. He didn't go home. There was nothing left there. He didn't contact anyone. But things started happening. A week later, a Zorian patrol ship crashed on Jupiter's moon. The crew was gone, not dead gone. The control systems were shredded from the inside. The only clue was a message burned into the floor. "This is for New York." 2 days after that, a hidden Zorian base orbiting Mars exploded. Surveillance drones caught a shadow moving through the halls. No face, no name, just destruction. The same message appeared on a screen before it went dark. On Earth, the media called him the Ghost. In the Zorian Empire, they gave him another name, the Phantom of Earth. The Zorian High Command didn't understand. "It's impossible," their war leader said. "One human cannot destroy entire bases. We wiped out their cities. They should be broken." But the attacks continued. Quiet, deadly, and precise. Small Zorian ships went missing. Supply routes were cut. One by one, the weapons meant to control Earth disappeared. In a hidden cave beneath the Himalayas, Carter worked alone. He had salvaged alien tech from the wreckage in New York. He learned how their weapons worked. He used their own tech to move unseen, jump between ships, cloak his presence. He didn't build an army. He didn't need one. He was the weapon. He programmed a voice message into every system he hit. "You brought war to my planet. Now you'll learn what war really is." The Zorians started panicking. Their generals were furious. Their soldiers were scared. Rumors spread. Some claimed he could walk through walls. Others said he was already dead, just a spirit of revenge. Night, Carter infiltrated a Zorian dreadnought orbiting Saturn. He slipped in through a waste duct, disabled the ship's AI, and planted explosives across the command deck. Before leaving, he activated the intercom. "You forgot something," he said calmly. The captain turned toward the voice. "Who?" Boom. The ship's front half broke apart in silence, drifting through the dark like frozen glass. No one on board survived. Back on Earth, leaders tried to locate Carter. Some feared what he was doing would trigger another invasion. Others wanted to help him, but no one could find him. He didn't trust anyone. The last time he trusted people, his family died. But not everyone was his enemy. In a hidden research station in Siberia, a young scientist named Lena managed to decode a piece of Zorian tech. She uploaded a signal meant only for Carter, a message he couldn't ignore: "We know who you are, and we want to help." He appeared 3 days later, dressed in black, eyes cold. Lena wasn't afraid. "We lost people too," she said. Carter said nothing at first, then he nodded. "What do you have?" Together, they upgraded his tech, gave him access to stolen Zorian energy weapons, personal shields, and a stealth system that could erase him from sensors completely. He didn't thank her, but before leaving he said, "This time, they'll feel it." Carter hit their war factories next. He didn't destroy them, he rewired them. Ships meant to carry Zorian troops exploded on launch, weapons turned on their own soldiers. Commanders screamed in confusion. Every time, the message followed. This is Earth's answer. Zorian generals now feared even speaking of Earth. One asked during a council meeting, "How do we stop this human?" The Emperor stood slowly. "We kill fear with fear," he said. They sent assassins, hybrids, cyber beasts built for silent killing. Carter sent back pieces of them with one message: "Try harder." One night, a captured alien broadcast reached Earth's deep space station. It showed Carter standing in a destroyed Zorian base, flames behind him, corpses at his feet. "I'm not asking for peace," he said into the camera. "I'm reminding you what happens when you forget who you're fighting." Then he vanished. Again, a single man, hunted by an empire. Yet they couldn't stop him, couldn't trace him, couldn't understand why their fleets kept falling. Carter didn't care about medals. He didn't care about praise. All he cared about was the moment, the day they would fear Earth the way Earth once feared them. And that day was coming soon. The Zorians called him a myth, a nightmare. Some believed he wasn't human anymore. But the truth was worse. He was real, and he wasn't done. Commander Ray Carter stood at the edge of a rocky cliff on Phoros 9, a small Zorian mining moon. Below, alien workers moved inside the facility. Their lights flickered across tunnels and guard towers. He watched them through his visor, silent. Still, he touched the detonator on his wrist. 10 seconds, he whispered. The countdown began. 9, he thought of David, his son's laughter. 8, Emily single quotes his voice, soft, singing in the kitchen. 7, the fire, the screams. New York, burning. 6, Titan, 5. Remember Earth, he muttered. Explosions raced through the tunnels like fire in dry grass. The mines collapsed. Lights blinked out. The screams began. Carter turned away. Another base down, another warning sent, back on the main Zorian warship orbiting their homeworld. General Sorak watched the destruction on a holographic screen. His long fingers clenched the edge of the table. The room was silent. Another one growled. "Yes, my lord," Sorak said. "Phoros 9 is gone." The Emperor stood. "This is shameful. A single human." "He's more than a soldier," Sorak said. "He's a symbol, and symbols spread." Another commander spoke. "Some of our outer colonies are beginning to panic. Soldiers refuse to go on patrol. They call him the Earthshade." "Cowards," the Emperor hissed. "Then bring him here. End this. We've tried. Our hunters can't track him. Then make better hunters." Carter wasn't hiding. Not really. He moved like a shadow, yes, but he wanted them to see his work. Left a trail of burned emblem, a hacked message, a destroyed ship floating into deep space, and every time the message was the same. "You brought this on yourselves." In a hidden asteroid base, Carter met Lena again. She was waiting with a small team. Earth had finally decided to stop sitting in silence. Some leaders believed Carter had gone too far. Others believed he hadn't gone far enough. Lena handed him a datapad. "They're building something, a new type of warship, bigger than anything we've seen." "Where?" he asked. "A place called Zareth Prime, deep in their core system." He looked at the map. The place was surrounded by defense rings, minefields, drones, and 3 battle fleets. "It's suicide," one of her team said. "Good," Carter replied. "They won't expect it." That night, Carter left without a word. Lena watched the ship vanish into black space. She whispered to herself, "Make them remember." Meanwhile, on Zareth Prime, engineers worked day and night on a massive war vessel, the Ravager-class dreadnought. It was designed to wipe out planets with a single strike. Its hull was thick as mountains. Its weapons were nightmares, turned into metal, but they didn't know Carter was already there. He had boarded a supply ship, hidden in a storage container, breathing recycled air and keeping still for 36 hours. When the crate opened, he slipped out in silence. Cloaked and armed, he moved like death. One by one, he disabled their internal systems. Gravity failed. Lights flickered. Then, he activated the base intercom. "Remember Earth?" his voice echoed. Through the halls, panic spread like fire. Engineers ran, soldiers screamed. Carter planted charges across the dreadnought's core, but just as he reached the final hallway, a steel gate slammed down. Alarms rang. They had found him. Dozens of Zorian troopers stormed the hall. They raised their weapons. "There he is," one shouted. "Fire!" Carter rolled behind a console. Blasts slammed into the walls around him. Sparks flew. His shoulder burned from a grazing hit. He reached into his belt and threw a shock grenade. It exploded with a crackling wave of energy. The soldiers dropped, screaming as their suits shut down. He stood slowly, limping. A voice came through the comms. "You cannot escape, human." It was Sorak. "You're surrounded," the general said. "There's no way out." "Here to escape," Carter said. He pressed the detonator. The charges exploded deep inside the dreadnought. Fire tore through the ship's heart. Metal bent and screamed. The entire facility began to collapse. Carter ran through the smoke, grabbing a fallen Zorian. He strapped it on and sprinted toward the emergency airlock. As flames licked the hallway, he launched into space. Behind him, the warship exploded. The soundless blast lit up the stars. Back on the Zorian homeworld, the Emperor watched the footage. Again, and again, and again. He slammed his fist on the table. "Why can't we stop him?" No one answered. Somewhere in the dark space near the edge of the Zorian system, Carter floated in an escape pod. His oxygen was low. His body was bruised, his mind tired, but his eyes were sharp. A small ship appeared beside him. Earth markings. "You look like hell." "I feel worse," he said. They pulled him aboard as he rested. She showed him new data. "You're becoming more than a symbol," she said. "Entire colonies are surrendering to Earth without a fight. I'm not trying to build an empire." She said, "But you're making them fear one." He looked at her. "Fear is a good start, but I want them to understand." "Understand what?" He leaned back, voice quiet. "The cost of war." The next weeks were silent on the Zorian side. No new attacks, no messages. Earth watched nervously. Some thought it was over. Others feared worse, but Carter knew better. One day, a secret message reached the human network. It was from a captured Zorian scientist. "They're preparing something," the message said. "Not a weapon, a trap." Carter read it twice. "They're learning," he said. Lena frowned. "That means it's working. They'll try to bait me, pretend to be weak. Lure me in. Will you go?" He looked at her. "Yes, even knowing it's a trap." He stood, grabbing his gear. "That's why I'll win." The trap was set on a moon called Drenox. The Zorians faked a distress signal, said it was a rebel base asking for peace talks. They knew Carter wouldn't ignore it. He didn't. But he didn't go in blind. He hacked into the signal lines ahead of time, used their own frequency to send a message back. "I'm coming, and I hope you're ready." General Sirach waited with 500 elite warriors, invisible drones, anti-personnel mines, heavy MECHS. He smiled as the Earthship landed. "Let's see what your ghost can do now," he said. The hatch opened, but it wasn't Carter. It was a decoy drone. Armed with an EMP, it exploded. All their systems went dark. Then, from above the cliffs, the real Carter struck. His sniper rifle fired one Sorak's shoulder armor, cracked. Soldiers ran for cover. Carter moved fast, dropping from the rocks, firing left and right, disabling machines before they could reboot. Smoke filled the air. Chaos returned. Within minutes, the entire trap had failed. Sorak crawled from the wreckage. Coughing, a shadow stood over him. "Carter, you've lost," Sorak spat. "We're still billions. You're one." Carter raised his weapon. "I'm enough." The blast lit the ground. Then he disappeared into the smoke. Later that day, the Zorian Council held a closed meeting. One commander said, "Perhaps we should talk peace." The Emperor stared into the darkness. No, he said. We make him suffer. But fear had already taken root, and Carter was just getting started. The stars above burned cold, but inside the Zorian High Command, tempers boiled. He destroyed the Ravager dreadnought, growled General Sorek's replacement. He walked into our strongest trap and turned it into a tomb. We cannot stop him. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. You sound like the rest. Afraid. A trembling voice from across the room said, It's not just fear, it's chaos. He's not killing armies, he's destroying our control. They all turned toward the monitor. Planetary footage from the Zorian colonies played on a loop, abandoned bases. Graffiti written in blood-red letters, Earth remembers. Earth answers. The Emperor rose slowly from his throne. Then it's time we remind them who we are. He turned to his warlords. Find his allies. Find the ones helping him. If we cannot crush the ghost, we'll burn the shadows he hides in. Far from the Zorian Empire, Ray Carter stood silently in the dark hallway of a floating research station above Titan's second moon. Beside him, Lena adjusted her comms unit. We intercepted a high-level message, she whispered. They've found something. A weapon. They call it Project Null. Carter raised an eyebrow. What kind of weapon? Some kind of anti-tech field. Wipes out systems, AI, sensors, everything. Even our Earth-built gear. They're planning to use it to flush you out. Carter gave a small nod. Good. Let them try. They're hunting us too. Ray, she added. The team on Mars is already missing. One of our safe houses was hit. He didn't speak, just stared into space. Raylina stepped closer. They won't stop until they burn everything around you. Then I'll burn first, he said. A few days later, Carter received a private signal. It came from an old Earth military channel, one that should have been long shut down. Carter, it's Captain Nolan. We served together in Arcturus 7. I know you're out there. I have something you need to see. Carter didn't trust anyone, not anymore, but he remembered Nolan Sharp, honest and loyal. The man once dragged Carter out of a crater under fire. Carter answered, I'm listening. I've got a Zorian defector. Hi, Clarence. She knows about Project Null. She wants to talk, but only to you, where Old Moon Station, Sector 9, abandoned since the Saturn Wars. Send coordinates, Carter replied. He arrived 12 hours later. The station was dark, cold, filled with echoes of old war scars. Blaster holes in the walls, bloodstains that never washed away. It felt like a ghost's home. Inside, Nolan waited near a flickering light. Beside him stood a tall Zorian female, her scales a dull silver. She didn't look afraid. You're Carter, she said. He studied her. And you're brave or desperate. I'm both, she replied. My name is Rixa. I was in charge of the Null Project. I left because I saw what they planned. What's the weapon? She looked at him sharply. It doesn't destroy ships. It destroys minds. They're using psychic amplifiers, turning soldiers into killers, then sending waves that erase thought, memory, identity. Mind wipe tech, Carter muttered. That's why they're not chasing me with ships anymore. They want to erase who I am. Yes, Rixa said. They want to shut down everything around you, your tech, your allies, your memory. And then they'll finish what they started on Earth. Carter's voice dropped low. Where is it? She handed him a small device. This is the location, but you can't go in alone. It's buried deep in their thought core vault, protected by everything they've got. I don't need to go in, he said, looking at the screen. I just need to bring the ceiling down. Back on the Zorian capital, the Emperor stood before his council. Carter will come, he said. He won't resist. He'll try to destroy Null, and when he arrives, we'll unleash it on him. What if it doesn't work? Someone asked. It will, the Emperor said, confident. He's still human, and all humans break. Carter didn't bring an army. He brought silence. His ship approached the Zorian vault, hidden in the core of a dead planet called Grathos. Black towers rose from the lava plains. Defensive satellites glowed with pulsing energy. But Carter wasn't flying straight in. He dropped from orbit hours earlier, in a pod coated with Zorian metal, designed to mimic debris. It landed without sound. He walked across the ash-covered rock, shielded and armed. Inside the vault, alarms began to beep. A strange frequency pulsed. Something just entered our atmosphere. A Zorian officer shouted, "The Emperor!" Watching from the control tower above, smiled. "Let the ghost come," he said. Carter slipped into the outer tunnels. Laser grids shimmered ahead. He timed each step. His stealth suit flickered. His energy cells drained fast. He passed silently by sentry bots. When one turned, he threw a noise beacon to the far end of the hallway. It followed the sound. Inside the central vault, the mind-wipe device hummed a huge crystal sphere surrounded by spinning rings. Its energy pulsed in slow waves. Carter watched from a vent. His fingers hovered over a control panel. He pulled out a small detonator and placed it near the ceiling supports. Then the lights changed red. Blinking. "They've found me," he muttered. He jumped down from the vent. 2 guards turned, raising their weapons. Carter shot first. 2 blasts. 2 bodies dropped. Sirens screamed. Doors locked. He sprinted to the main console, inserted a code Rixa gave him. The machine hissed suddenly. A voice filled the chamber. "You're finished, Carter. The Emperor, Project Null, is active. You're inside its core. In 60 seconds, you'll forget who you are." Carter paused. "Then I better hurry," he said. He planted explosives around the room fast, but his vision blurred. The lights dimmed. His memory flickered. David's face, Emily's hands. Were they real? Was he dreaming? No. He gritted his teeth. Not today. He slammed the detonator. The blast was massive. The core chamber exploded downward. Energy surged. Carter's body was thrown back, but the device shattered. From orbit, the entire vault went dark. Flames ripped through the control towers. One by one, satellite defenses fell. The Zorian capital lost power for the first time in history. The Emperor screamed, "No! No nitrogen monoxide!" But it was done. Carter emerged from the crater. Suit burned blood on his forehead. Lena's voice came through static. Ray, do you copy?" He coughed, then spoke. "Null is offline." Cheers exploded in Earth Command. Across the galaxy, Zorian forces began to crumble. Without Null, their control vanished. Without their control, fear returned. A week later, Carter sat beside a small fire in a cave. Rixa approached. "You did it," she said. "You broke their greatest weapon." "I didn't do it alone," she smiled. "You were the spark. Earth lit the fire. And now they burn," Carter finished. He looked at the stars. "I'm not done," he said. Quietly, "They'll come after you harder now." "I hope they do." She paused, then asked, "Why do you keep fighting, Carter? Is it revenge? Hate?" He shook his head. "It's justice," he said. "They thought Earth was weak, that we'd beg, that we'd forget." He stood, face hard, but they forgot one thing. "What?" He turned toward the horizon. "Humans don't run. We return." The Zorian homeworld burned with whispers. In the dark halls of power, no one spoke openly anymore. Generals avoided the Emperor's gaze. Advisors left rooms as he entered. He had promised victory, but instead, the ghost from Earth was turning their empire into dust. 3 dreadnoughts lost, 16 colonies gone dark, Project Null destroyed, and worst of all, the people were no longer afraid of them. They were afraid of him. They chant his name in the outer zones. General Vrax said quietly, "Earth Phantom, Shade of Wrath." They believe he cannot die. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. "Then let me prove them wrong." He turned to the War Council. "Forget traps. Forget defense. Send the fleet. Every ship. Every soldier. I want Earth turned to ashes. I want their cities gone. Their sky black. But do I The Zorian fleet, the largest military force in the known galaxy, moved within hours. 3,000 warships. Millions of troops. Their destination? Earth. The Emperor grinned as the stars filled with fire. Let's see how their ghost fights, when his home is nothing but smoke. On Earth, alarms blared in every command center. "Zorian fleet approaching fast," shouted a young officer. 3 days out, full invasion force. Panic spread like a virus. Civilian shelters filled, nations united under one flag. Earth's leaders stared at the screen, frozen by fear. Then one voice cut through the silence. "Don't wait for them." It was Carter. He stood in the center of the war room, calm, scarred, and unshaken. You want to survive? Then hit them before they land. Make them bleed in space. But we don't have the firepower, a general began. You have me, Carter said, and I have a plan. In orbit above the moon, Earth's secret weapon was finally complete, a stolen Zorian dreadnought, reprogrammed and upgraded by human scientists and Karcher's allies. They named it Retribution. Lena met Karcher at the boarding ramp. You're going up against 3,000 ships? He nodded. That's a fair fight. You might not come back. Carter gave her a half smile. I didn't come this far to run. She stepped forward and handed him a small black disc. He asked, my voice, a broadcast beacon. If you fall, we'll send your last message across the stars. Let them remember. He took it. They will. 2 days later, in the cold black silence between stars, the battle began. The Zorian fleet moved like a wall of death, rows upon rows of ships, glowing with weapons and shields. Their fighters swarmed forward like insects, and then, out of the dark, came one single ship, Retribution, a human ship, made with alien bones. Carter sat in the command chair, eyes sharp, activate cloak, prepare phase pulse. His crew, just 7 hand-picked operatives, followed without question. They flew through the Zorian fleet, invisible, quiet, and then, without warning, boom, a blast of pulsing energy knocked out 50 ships in an instant. Zorian captains shouted, systems failed. Fighters spun out of control. Where did it come from? We can't lock on. And then another boom, then another. The Retribution moved like a ghost, weaving through the chaos. Each strike was precise. Each blast tore a hole in the enemy's perfect wall. The Zorians had numbers. Carter had fear. They began pulling back. Then Carter sent a signal to Earth. Send the second wave. From behind the moon, Earth's fleet appeared, not thousands of ships, but hundreds of fast high-tech vessels. Smaller, quicker, designed for hit and run. They rushed forward while the Zorians struggled to regroup. Inside the Retribution, alarms blared. We've been hit. Shields down to 40%. Carter stood up. Target the flagship. Bring me the Emperor. His crew stared. You want to attack their command ship? Yes, he said. It's time we cut off the head. The Zorian Emperor stood aboard his flagship, watching the battle unfold with burning eyes. There, ants, he roared. Crushed them. But then his ship shook. Direct hit, lower deck. And then he appeared. Carter burst through the main hall with 2 of his crew. Blasters in hand, eyes blazing, Zorian guards rushed forward. Carter dropped 3 in a second. He moved fast, like smoke, unstoppable. He reached the throne room. The Emperor stood with 2 elite guards. You, the Emperor snarled. You think you can walk in here, into my empire, my ship? I already did, Carter said, raising his weapon. The guards attacked. Carter ducked, rolled, shot one in the chest. The second grabbed his leg, but Carter slammed his elbow into its skull. It dropped, groaning. Now only the Emperor stood. You'll die here, he hissed. Carter walked forward slowly. You already did, the day you touched Earth. The Emperor pulled out a blade, glowing with black fire. They fought, steel and fists, sparks and blood. The Emperor was fast, but Carter was fueled by pain, by loss, by rage. A final strike. Carter plunged the blade into the Emperor's chest. The alien gasped, eyes wide. You are just a man. No, Carter said softly. I'm the voice of every soul you silenced. He twisted the blade. The Emperor collapsed. Word spread. Fast. The Emperor was dead. His command ship lost. The fleet letterless panicked. Many surrendered. Some tried to flee. Earth's forces, led by the Retribution, pushed them back. Ship by ship, the stars that once promised doom now shimmered with victory. Carter stood in the wreckage of the command deck. Blood on his hands, fire in his eyes. Send. The message he told Lena through comes. She activated the beacon across the galaxy. On every Zorian frequency, Carter's voice rang out. You wanted war. You brought death to my people. You thought we would kneel? He paused. But now you kneel. He looked into the camera. This is Earth, and we are not afraid anymore. The message played on loops, on every colony, every ship, every station. Some Zorians cried, Others stared in silence. The galaxy changed that day, not because Earth won a battle, but because they showed that even the smallest world could make giants bleed. Later, Carter stood on the surface of Earth again. New York was rebuilding. Lights flickered back on. Children laughed again. Lena stood beside him. "You did it," she said. "No," he replied. "We all did." She looked at him. "What now?" Carter didn't answer right away. Then he whispered, "There's still more of them out there, not just Zorians, others watching, waiting." He turned to her. "Let them come." It had been 3 weeks since the emperor of the Zorian Empire fell. The stars were quieter now, but peace was not easy. The galaxy was watching Earth. Watching him, some feared. Some doubted, some plotted. But one thing was certain, no one ignored Earth anymore. Commander Ray Carter stood on a hill just outside the rebuilt edge of New York City. The skyline still wore scars, but new buildings rose. Children played in the streets again, and above it all, Earth's new defense grid shimmered. In orbit, Lena stepped beside him. Holding a datapad, "You've been quiet since the battle," she said. "I've been listening," he replied. "To what?" "The galaxy." Waiting to see who moves first, she gave him the pad. "Then you'll want to see this." Carter looked down. It was a signal, encrypted, old tech, not Zorian, something different. "Origin, unknown," she said, "but it's powerful, broadcast across 4 sectors, and it has your name in it." Carter narrowed his eyes. On the screen, a voice played. "Calm, cold, Commander Ray Carter. The galaxy bows at your shadow, but shadows grow only in light. Let's see how bright yours burns." Lena frowned. "That's a challenge." Carter stared into the distance. "That's an invitation." The source came from beyond the known. Systems, a dark zone, untouched by Earth or Zorian hands. Old maps called it the Rift, a place where signals went to die, and ships often never returned. Carter didn't hesitate. He launched in the Retribution, this time with no crew. Lena tried to stop him. "You can't go alone." "Not again. I have to," he said. "If it's a trap, no one else should die for me." She grabbed his hand. "You changed everything, Ray. Earth isn't the same. You don't have to do this alone anymore." He looked at her, eyes soft. "But I started this alone." She stepped back, then finished it. The rift wasn't empty. Carter flew into the darkness, past dead suns and floating ruins. Alien wreckage drifted, some so ancient they had no markings. Then a station appeared, huge, black, silent. It looked like it had been built from pieces of different worlds. Carter docked and stepped inside. Weapon-ready lights flickered on, and a figure stepped forward. Not Zorian, not human. It looked like both, tall, armored face covered in a half-metal mask. Its voice echoed. "Welcome, Earthborn. You've made quite a name for yourself." "Who are you?" Carter asked. The figure stepped closer. "I am what your enemies fear most, a memory that survived extinction, a lesson the galaxy forgot." Carter kept his weapon raised. "Say, your name? I am Varone, last of the Forsaken." Carter frowned. "Never heard of you." "That's the point," Varone said. "We fought the Zorians before your species learned fire. We lost, but not before we buried weapons across the stars. I've watched you, Carter. You did what we could not. You made them kneel." Carter said nothing. Varone continued. "But you made a mistake. You showed them that Earth fights back. You gave the galaxy a symbol. Now, every tyrant, every warlord, every empire will come for that symbol. I'm ready. Are you?" Varone tilted his head. Then, "I offer you a choice. Leave now, live quietly, be the legend Earth remembers. Or take what we left behind, a power that can burn systems, and become something far more dangerous." Carter stepped forward slowly. "I didn't come for power. I came for answers." Varone turned and walked down a hallway. Carter followed. They entered a chamber filled with old alien tech, glowing crystals, and strange weapons humming softly. "This is the Forge," Varone said. "The last legacy of the Forsaken. You can take it, or destroy it, but choose carefully." Carter looked around. Weapons that could wipe fleets and a blink. Armor that healed its user, and a command. Crystal linked to old satellite weapons buried on uncharted worlds. He picked up the crystal. It pulsed with energy. "Why me?" he asked. "Stepped into the shadows. Because you showed them fear. But now you must teach them respect." Then he vanished. Back on Earth, a strange light appeared in the sky. Lena looked up, heart racing. Retribution is back. Someone shouted, "Carter!" Landed in silence. When the hatch opened, he stepped out, wearing new armor, dark gray with glowing red edges. His eyes looked different, focused, ready. Lena ran to him. "What happened?" "I met our future," he said. She stared at him. "What now?" He looked up at the stars. "We build in the following weeks." Earth began spreading its reach. Not to conquer, but to protect. Carter led missions to broken colonies, freeing species enslaved by warlords. He became more than a soldier. He became a signal that Earth stands for justice, that Earth doesn't forget. One by one, old enemies sent messages of peace. Some offered trade, others offered silence. But one final message came that Carter did not expect. It was from a Zorian child. A video. The boy stared into the camera, nervous. You stopped the war. My father was a soldier. He's gone now, but my mother says, you saved our home. So, thank you, Carter." Watched the message in silence. Then he spoke quietly to himself. They finally understand. Months later, Carter stood again in New York. This time, not in battle gear, but in simple black clothing. A statue was being raised in the city square, not of him, but of a human hand reaching toward a Zorian hand. Beneath it, the words, "Let the stars." Remember, Earth stood and Earth forgave. Lena walked beside him. "People still tell stories about what you did," she said. "They should tell stories about what comes next," he replied. She looked at him with a smile. "Will you ever stop?" Carter didn't answer at first. Then he said, "No." She took his hand. "Good, because the galaxy still needs you." Carter looked up. "I'm not finished." Beyond the stars, in the deepest reaches of forgotten space, a new threat stirred, unknown, unseen, listening. But they had already heard the name Earth, and they knew one thing. It wasn't a planet to be conquered. It was a planet to be feared, because somewhere out there was a man who turned war into fire and made the stars remember his name, Ray Carter, the ghost of Earth. The day he made the aliens fear humanity was just the beginning.